Hello you guys, welcome back to Channel Claire. I hope you're doing well wherever you are in this crazy world. And y'all, this Diddy trial is really a lot, and I just want to say, it's getting to be, they're saying this might be like 12 weeks, and I'm like, I don't know if I could do 12 weeks of Diddy trial. Like, the subject matter is dark, there's just a lot of information, and quite frankly, it's too much. And I don't want to be like one of those accounts that is giving daily Diddy updates, getting all the details. Like, that's just not me for this case, I guess. But that's just not me. And I just feel like there are a lot of different accounts that are doing such good work, that are there at the courthouses. They're doing overviews in the evening. There's people who are live streaming the entire thing throughout the day. So there's so many accounts that are doing the work that, it's just amazing. I'm like, I definitely am like way out of my league on all of that. So happily letting them take that on. But obviously it's in our faces. We see the reports come out if you're on social media, and it's shocking, some of the stuff that we're hearing about Diddy and his behavior over the years and how he handled the women in his life. And it's especially sad because he has young sons who are looking up to him as to like how to be in their relationships and shit. So hopefully they're not seeing Diddy's behavior as example of what they should be doing. But then he also has like two young girls, like teenage girls, who are obviously going to be stepping into having their own relationships and then seeing their father treat women horribly. Hopefully that's something they're not going to take, in their relationships. But sometimes when we see certain things, we like repeat patterns that we've seen. So I just hope that's not the case with his sons or his daughters. But this case has a lot of information. We know that Dawn Richard was on the stand. She was on Friday and she came back Monday. We obviously know that Aubrey O'Day is not going to be testifying at all, which is interesting considering. There was Cassie's friend Carrie, who also testified today. Carrie Morgan. So she testified and gave some insight. It's interesting because still at this point, I guess this is week 2, we still haven't gotten to the nitty gritty of like evidence of the charges that he's been put up against him and that he's fighting. This trafficking and the RICO charges and such and such. We're hearing a lot about his interpersonal relationships and him being horrifically violent, which in its own right, I don't know if maybe since we know all of this and there's so much evidence on it, can there be a separate case brought up against him if he is let go on this case? Just because at this point we haven't seen, I think, what the jury is going to need to see to convict him on these charges. But who knows? Things happen. Maybe just hearing how horrific of a person he is, they're gonna be like, yeah, whatever they're saying you did that shit, so we're locking your ass up. So it may be a situation like that. But they did come at Dawn a little bit today saying that she was changing her stories a little bit, and I'm like, is that why Aubrey didn't want to testify? Because yes, she's done a lot of talking in different interviews and stuff, but she's never really had to like be verified. And that's not me like doubting her experiences or at all. I believe she had shit with Diddy and he treated her fucked up. I believe that wholeheartedly. But like when you're testifying, like they want to know details. They want to know details. You can't, and you're under oath, so you can't, like, even if you are like misremembering something, like I guess potentially they can say you're lying. So you don't want to perjure yourself. Like, that's a lot of pressure as well. And then this stuff is happening years ago. Potentially, maybe she's worried about, she's misremembered this, or she doesn't exactly know what this was said, but she has like a general feeling and vibe of what was happening, but she can't give like the intricate details. I don't know. But the whole Aubrey thing is interesting. But they were questioning Dawn about changing her story about the whole breakfast thing, where Cassie was cooking breakfast for Diddy and he came up and was like trying to hit her in the head with this pan with eggs in it. Crazy. So Inner City Press, they've been doing phenomenal coverage over on Twitter, giving like word for word transcripts of what's happening in the courtroom, since they're not allowing like audio, video, and all of that. So annoying. But it says, I guess this is Diddy's lawyer questioning Don, saying, "You testified he attempted to hit her about the eggs and Miss Ventura dropped down in a fetal position, right?" Don said, "Yes." The lawyer says, "Did you ever say you heard a pan hit the wall? You didn't see it?" She says, "I don't recall." So then Westmore says, "Would you agree with me that it's been hard for you to keep your story straight with respect to this eggs incident?" Don said, "I told you as close as I could." Westmoreland says, "The day after you say Combs said people go missing." And Don said yes. Then he says, let's do your interview on March 18th, 2025. You did not say anything about Mr. Combs told you people go missing. That's true, because like as I'm reading this, I thought it was Cassie who told her people go missing. But let's read on. So the lawyer says, I guess there's some typos in this, because he's like, I guess maybe taking notes or tweeting really fast or what have you. So there are some typos, so bear with me. So I think it says, the lawyer says, "Let's go to your interview on March 18th, 2025. You did not say anything about Mr. Combs told you people go missing." Don said, "I don't recall that." Westmore says, "No worries. I'm going to show you a document for the parties only, page 5. The lawyer says, "Isn't it true the first time you said this was a week ago? Would you like me to show you your previous interviews?" Don Richard said, "I know what I said." The lawyer says, "You said Mr. Combs made a death threat, one that you didn't recall 7 times. And so it goes on with him questioning her about her story. It's a lot of fucking transcript. Like I'm telling you, I'm not doing all of that. So, and then Cassie's ex-best friend, Carrie Morgan, testified about a time she and Cassie hid from Diddy inside a ditch. She says she was knocked out, and then she got up and ran into a wooded area. Wow. So this is what happened here. So Carrie says they were in Jamaica, and she saw Diddy drag her by her hair. Carrie says she ran back to get her purse and phone so that they could leave. The lawyer says, "What happens next?" Carrie says, "I thought she was knocked out. Then she got up and ran into a wooded area." The lawyer says, "What happened next?" Carrie says, "There was 2 golf carts in the driveway. I got one and Sean got in the other. We went in different directions looking for Cassie." "Did you find her?" Morgan said, "Yes, we hid in a ditch," whispering. The lawyer said, "Did Mr. Combs ever assault you?" Carrie said, "Yes, he hit me with a wooden coat hanger and choked her." "Where did the hanger hit you?" The lawyer says, "Right behind the ear." The lawyer says, "What did he express concern about?" Morgan said, "Who Cassie was cheating on him with." The lawyer says, "Who did you speak about?" And Carrie said, "Ryan, Sean's old assistant." And the lawyer says, "What did he do?" Morgan said, "Nothing," shrugs. "I have not spoken with Cassie since then." So I guess once Carrie Morgan got hit behind the ear with this hanger, she was like, "I'm done. I've seen enough fucking shit." But like, just reading that scene about them in Jamaica and him dragging her hair, and they're supposed to be this beautiful place. I'm sure it's so scenic, and all this horrific stuff is happening, and she's running off into the woods. And I'm like, did y'all see that movie Don't Blink Twice with Channing Tatum? It was directed, written, it was made by Zoe Kravitz, but very well done. It was that scene, that this story that she was telling is very similar to a scene or scenes that I saw in that movie. If you've seen the movie, then you know. But I was like, that's very, very interesting. Poor Cassie. And it's just like, people like to say, well, why didn't she leave? She stayed after that happened. She went back. It's just like, there's such thing as a cycle of abuse, and I guess unless you've been in the situation, you don't know, so you don't understand, I guess, in some ways. But it's very clear she was horrifically abused repeatedly in private and in front of people, and there were people witnessing this happen with whom they did not feel comfortable saying anything about it, which is why this man has got away with all this shit for so many years. It's insane. But court also ended really early today, so I'm not quite sure about, it was like a little after 3 or close to 3:30, but on Friday it went to at least like 5, I believe, and I thought that they would go to at least 4:30, but they ended it early for a Monday especially, so that was strange. But it picks back up in the morning, so we'll see what takes place there. Again, I'm not doing daily updates, not that anybody cares about that, I'm sure, but I am keeping tabs on what is happening with this whole Diddy scenario, because I am truly interested to see how this is going to shake out for him and a lot of people, because it seems like there's a lot of victims, and there seems like there's a lot of bystanders to the foolishness that was happening. But it also seems as if they were afraid for their lives as well, because they're sitting here witnessing stuff that typically people do behind closed doors, but they're seeing it done in front of their face. And their paychecks and their livelihoods probably are funded by Diddy as well, so they're thinking about themselves in the moment, I guess, you know, self-preservation and all of that. And I don't blame them. It's just a really all-around shitty situation, you guys. So I don't know. Yeah, they were really going in at Dawn, questioning her about her story or about her testimony, and trying to pick it away, pick apart, you know, try to make her less credible and all that. And then Carrie Morgan letting us know about what she witnessed with Diddy in front of her own eyes. So there we have it, you guys. I am going to leave you all. I am going to go chill out, take a nice shower, and get myself ready for the next day. I'll see you guys later.